Greetings and welcome to Creative Consulting Dreams Inspirational Talk Show. I'm your host, Beverly Brown, and thank you so much for joining me from whatever platform you're joining me from today. And if you're on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, like, and hit the bell for alerts because some upcoming shows for 2022 are just going to blow you away. And what is Creative Consulting Dreams Inspirational Talk Show all about? It's talking to everyday people about their goals, their dreams, their vision, but mainly we want to focus on some of the obstacles that they faced in order to do that, in order to let someone know that no matter what your dream, your goal, your vision is, obstacles are going to happen. It's just what you do to overcome them. And today, first of all, it's my first show of 2022. Secondly, I have a dynamic guest today and his lovely wife. And the great part about it, you'll learn, is I was actually in a movie that he did, if you can believe that. So we're going to talk so much about that, and I'm just intrigued because Dr. Rodney Pearson has been a friend to me, a mentor to me. We've known each other over the years, and the fact that he's allowed me to be a part of the plays and things that he's done has just been phenomenal. So without any further ado, I'm just going to introduce you to none other than Dr. Rodney Pearson and his beautiful wife. Dr. Pearson. Great. Hello. Awesome. You never know. She's just that phenomenal. But Dr. Rodney Pearson, just tell us, Pearson, tell us a little about you.
Well, first let me thank you for having us on your program. This was really a phenomenal I guess a surprise when you said, yes, let's do this, let's make this happen. The studio is great, where you do your program. I like the colors. We walked in and my wife said, hey, these colors are going to work for us. So everything is good. So I'm just glad to be here, man. It really is good. And to your audience, thanks so much for joining us with this program because I'm so excited about our movie. I am super excited about our movie.
I am.
This is your first thing for the year, and this is my first movie for my career.
Look at that, first and first.
Right.
How could this get any better?
Yes. And audience, this is the first time ever in my life that anyone has ever spilled fingernail polish on my white
We
shoes.
might have to edit that part out. But we're live here. We just do it naturally. Don't worry, you, Dr. Rod.
You said just talk.
I know, and it's going to be just talk, guys. So get ready to have a wonderful time.
Right.
And Trina, you do promise to get some fingernail polish for me.
I promise.
Move it from Dr. Rod.
I promise.
We might need to ask for a GoFundMe so you can buy me a new pair of shoes.
Oh my God, please. Oh Lord. Because you know how people feel about their tennis shoes, right? And that's the first thing I said. I was like, please, I hope he's not one of those people like, oh my God, it's my tennis shoes.
No, that's the mark of success. We will keep it there.
Oh.
Right. What did I say it was? I said it was what? What did I say?
I don't know what you said.
But that's okay. But I'm sorry, audience. We digress. Let's get back to the program.
I don't want people asking me when they see my shoe later.
Trina's going to fix it. Behave, Dr. Rodney. Come on. We have a show. We have an audience.
You
I'm
have
talking
pink
about
fingernail polish, Doc, on your shoe.
Now it's on tape for everybody.
Everybody.
Anyway, Dr. Rodney Pearson, I'm going to say what I know about you lovely people. And like I said, Dr. Rodney Pearson, you're originally from Compton.
Compton.
All right, Compton people, pay for that.
City of Compton.
You can tell he's a director, right? And his beautiful wife, we're from where? Louisiana.
Yes.
Southern girls.
Awesome.
And for my New Orleans people, she's from Fashry, guys. That's right across the river from my little town called Narco, Louisiana.
Isn't that amazing?
We touched the girls.
Yes.
Right across,
so
you're across the levee?
Her as your yes, she's
right across the levee.
Okay,
yeah.
So you do understand that.
Yeah.
I understand. Oh, yeah. I had to make New Orleans like my second home.
Yeah.
As soon as I married her, I had to get rid of all of my teams. I became a Saints fan. Pelicans
I
fan. I had to dump the Lakers, everything. So, you got to do it if you're going to have happy life.
Gotta serenade
Happy
her.
wife.
There it is. And it wasn't voodoo that got it
No,
either.
no,
Hello.
no.
Come on.
Love.
Absolute love. And I love you guys, and I love the love that they have for each other. But we're going to go back to some of your history, because I know what we're going to even talk about today is, yes, first of all, he has a movie that just came out on Flex TV, and we're going to have it on so many other places as well. But Dr. Rodney, what I want them to know is, let's talk more about how you even got started with doing your plays, because you've written plays and everything else. Tell them a little bit about that.
Well, actually, in elementary school, I was in the church plays. I was in the plays at our school. I used to compete in oratorical contests. So I was always on the stage in some form or another. So entertainment was something I loved to do. I loved to write. I loved to be in that place where, even in my preaching, I'm a pastor, so that's what I do. I pastor in Buckeye, in the city of Buckeye, Faith, Hope, and Love Community Church. But even in my preaching, I found that it was so important to get the audience to really listen. So as a storyteller, that's part of what I do as a minister, is making sure that you are helping people to understand the word. And even though I went to seminary, I found that people were not impressed with the big words that we can use, but they were more impressed when you were able to convey a part of the Bible in a way that they could understand it, and they would be able to apply it to their lives. So it started years ago, to make a long story short. Then I would always do little skits in my churches. I was always invited to come and be a part of skits and things like that. So it seemed that this whole thing that we see happening now has just had this long journey. I'm not going to say how old I am, but I'll say I'm not 50 and I'm not 70, okay?
Somewhere in between.
I'm somewhere in there, okay? All right. I could have said I'm not 40 and not 100 either, but you got the point.
He's always digressing. Can you tell? Okay. Back to the story. Just kidding.
So all of this time, I've been telling stories. Now, when I was in college, I think I was working on my BA, and I needed to take a class for just to fulfill the requirements, and beyond the regular curriculum.
Right.
You had to do the extra. And so I took a class in film. And when I took the class in film, I really liked it. Okay? But my real work in film started when I lived in Southern California. And I started attending, I became a background actor.
Okay.
I wanted to know what happened in the background.
Right.
I wanted to know, what did the directors do? What did the people do behind the scenes? Because everything I saw was always on television, on the big screen and stuff like that. So I quit my job and just became a background actor.
Oh my goodness.
That's all I did. Every day, sign up for different movies and sign up I went to acting school, had a couple of national commercials in acting school while I was in acting school. But going to work, watching from the time all of the cameras set up, the lights were set up, extras were usually told, that's what background actors are, extras, just go over there in the extra tent and wait. And I would be outside the tent watching the setups.
What was going on.
Right, I'd be watching. And as I kept watching, kept seeing, every time the directors would cut, I'd be looking to see, what did they see? I would sneak around. If I wasn't on the screen, I'd sneak around and listen to what was going on, what the directors were telling the production assistants, and what were they saying when they gave the actors all kinds of placements. They would say, you'd have a first AD who would be saying, okay, go, you stay, you go, but you can't see any of this on camera.
You're just watching everything that you need to do. Isn't that amazing? See,
That's
that's when
amazing.
his dreams started developing. And I love to talk to people about, we don't know what we're doing when we start doing something.
Right.
And then you find out like years later why.
That's why I did that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. That was amazing.
For me, it was a way of reaching the world and telling them whatever the story of whether it was a biblical story, whether it was a story to enhance a person's life, whether it was a story about dream making, whatever it was, I felt that way back then that it seemed that TV and film was so effective about getting the points across. They reached so many more people. And that was my objective. I wanted to learn. I met Danny Glover, and when I met him in a setting that was just a small, we were talking about AIDS and how, being able to address the issue of AIDS. And what Danny did that day is he came in just for a few moments, right? Told his story. I met him, believe it or not. We both ended up in the bathroom together. Don't tell Danny I'm telling this story,
You
okay?
just told her, Danny Glover, if you're watching this show.
He happened to be in the bathroom when I went in, right? And so I'm like, oh, hey, how you doing? We were washing hands.
Faith is just everywhere. You just never know when
You never know. You never know. Especially in California, okay? But we were there, and even though it was just a few moments, what he did was they took his message while he was there speaking, and of course, they went everywhere with that message, right? But he was just there for a few moments. So the effectiveness of the media is tremendous. And if you can use it correctly, you have an audience that you can speak to, and that's what I wanted to do in this movie with Shady Passions. But I met so many people preparing.
I know you did, because you were in California and doing that. And the amazing things that he just brought up. He quit his job to become an extra, okay? So just to let people know, somebody's out there wondering, like, what do I do? I'm in California. How do I get my name out there? Well, start somewhere.
You have to.
And do just what you do. Just go ahead. I'm not telling you to quit your job to become an extra, because that is stepping way out to say that.
Shortly after quitting my job, there was a divorce. So just
that God said it. If you do it, right?
You had God has said, man, quit your job and just go sit out here every day and pray that you get called, right?
Well, you know what? I've got a crazy history of doing what God said to do, like marrying her 6 weeks after we met. 6 weeks after we met.
And look how beautiful that is.
It's been the best thing that ever happened
definitely. We would not recommend it to anyone.
Right. This is better than black eyed peas and chicken. I'm telling you. It is the best ever.
And the part about all of that is knowing when the Spirit leads you.
Right.
Yes. You're making the right decision.
Absolutely.
That's the beautiful part.
People can't believe it. I tell them, Belle, I say, we've been together now going on 20 years. What is
18.
18 now. and I say, with all of that, we've never had any of those situations where you feel like you need to end this thing, you got to go, wrong decision. It has been wedding bliss from day one. So obvious.
It's God.
But whatever you do, just like don't quit your job, don't get married in 6 weeks. Don't do
it. Trust me, it's beautiful now, but I know they have their ups and downs in between. But that's the strength of it too, and people don't seem to understand that too. There are going to be ups and downs.
Right.
You don't have to talk about quitting just because you have your ups and downs. You work it out in love, but because you're so spiritually in tune to God, you know that is the point of where this marriage is lasting all this time.
Absolutely, we know that.
And I know you guys experience that. So that's going to definitely the reason why you are as beautiful as you are. And she plays such an integral role as far as that, because now we're going to get back to, first of all, I wanted you to mention when you first started writing your play. What year was that when you first did your play? What was the name of the play? And when we're going to fast forward to where we are today, how I got involved to be a star.
Okay. Yeah, she had a speaking role.
I actually did. It wasn't just a cameo.
Well, I did my play called You Can't Keep a Good Woman Down. The first time I did the play was in 1979. Right. 1979. And I was living in Southern California. I had my involvement in plays, as I told you, growing up, but then I was invited to be a music director over a play there in San Bernardino, California.
Okay.
And as I was the music director, here I was back again. I'm watching the production go forth. I'm watching the director. I'm watching the parts, looking at the script. Of course, I had the script in front of me the whole time because I'm doing the music, following the script. Taught me what it was all about. And I decided, hey, I can do this. And I started writing my play. And when I wrote my play, You Can't Keep a Good Woman Down, I did it in the San Bernardino Community College, which at that time I was attending college. So I was able to get the theater relatively cheap, and that's when I started. We ended up doing a total of about 56 shows throughout Southern California and Arizona. When I moved to Arizona, I brought it here as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And that was 56 shows for over how many years?
Over from 1979 till, wow, yeah, that wasn't the question I was expecting. But it was probably, when did we get married?
About 10 years?
2005.
2005? Yeah, so it was about 20 years for that time.
So that's awesome.
Yeah, but that's how we went. And then, by the way, my next movie that we've already started working on is You Can't Keep a Good Woman Down.
Ooh, and I wonder what role I'm going to play for that.
You wonder?
Because, so now we're going to fast forward to in Arizona.
Right.
And how did we first meet?
You know what? We first met because I would see you on Facebook with all of these different projects that you were doing.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, and I would see her doing this and introducing this and introducing that. And I said, she has a great presence for film and stage. And then I looked you up and asked you, if you wanted to audition after I had done the play a couple of times. And you said, sure. And that's how we met.
Right.
You nailed it.
And you even invited me to do a live talk with you.
Right.
We did a live talk because we found out, we had the New Orleans background. Because I was thinking he's from New Orleans because he had so much space stuff on. I thought you were the one from New Orleans.
Right.
You came dressed up in space paraphernalia.
Yeah.
And I was honored that you did that and we talked. And I remember because the wind was blowing and we were outside of this little cafeteria and the wind kept messing with the sound.
Right. We had all that. When we listened back to the sound, we heard the wind, and I was like, man, we can't use this, because she was talking about your domestic violence experience and how you grew up and things that you had gone through.
Right.
And so you were a survivor, and my show was about the survivors of tragedies and traumas.
Well, the tragedy was it wasn't domestic violence.
Oh, okay. It wasn't. Okay.
It was a
Cancer,
Katrina.
that's
and
right.
the Katrina survivor.
Right.
That's what it was.
That's what it was. You're right.
No domestic violence.
You don't play that stuff? Okay. Uh-oh. You see that?
Don't get me started. Thank God for that, and I don't make light of it because I know so many people that have experienced it.
Right.
So many.
Incredible.
Right.
But it was because I was a Katrina survivor and also a 2-time breast cancer survivor. So I was honored that you talked to me about that particular time.
I ended up doing a whole entire show.
Yeah.
I went back to New Orleans and did a show on survivors of Katrina.
Back at that time. So that's when we were first talking together, and then he calls up and he says, well, come to act for a show, and I'm like, okay. I had never acted really before, so I was just honored that he had, and I played a policeman for that show.
She did.
And it was incredible. I loved it. And also I had been in Dr. Brenda Cohn's plays as well, because she was asking me about being a part. So it just goes to show you that whenever you just start stepping out doing things, you don't never know what it's going to lead to. And so now we're going to fast forward to the big time. We're talking about plays, and now we just produced what? Talk about Shaded Passions.
Shaded Passions. She is responsible for the name of the movie.
Okay.
Because we were just kind of talking about what it could be, the possibilities, and you
Go ahead.
tell
us a little bit about it.
He was throwing out words and what about this and what about that and what about this, and so we kind of narrowed it down. I was like, okay, how about Shaded Passions? And my sister-in-law asked me, why Shaded Passions? Where did that come from? And so I was saying the characters are their careers is what they're passionate about.
Right.
But the careers were not regular. It was not the norm for the woman. She was a mechanic, right, in the film, and so it wasn't the norm for a woman to be. It's not the norm for a woman to be a mechanic. And his passion was counseling, and his experience through the counseling took him to a place that he wasn't expecting. He wasn't expecting to deal with the things that he dealt with, and he knew that society did not support the people that he was counseling, that demographic, and so it's the shade that's on the passion.
Right, it's kind of like it's the undercover of everything else that's on the surface.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And how society looks at it, they throw shade on sex offenders and on women being mechanics, and so it just seemed to fit perfectly.
And he wasn't a sex offender, but he was a therapist.
So tell them right now what Shaded Passions is.
Yeah, so the movie is basically based on my life. As I say, basically, but not specifically.
Right.
I am a therapist. I'm a clinical therapist and licensed here in the state of Arizona. And what I found was I had retired as a pastor because after 25, 30 years, it was just time to do something different.
Right.
And so what I did was I ended up going to school, and when it was time for me to finish, I realized I want to retire, and all I want to do is work in the field of counseling. So I went and got my master's, did all of those things I needed to do, got my license, and I retired, technically retired. And so I did a stint of a job here, and I did a little bit of a job there, preparing myself. And my first real job as a therapist was working with sex offenders.
Wow.
And so it was very difficult because I had worked with victims of domestic violence. I had worked with perpetrators of domestic violence. But now, here we were on this other side. This was much deeper. I walked in thinking that I knew what I was doing because I had worked with domestic violence perpetrators before, and it was a whole other world because these were people, most of the people in domestic violence, usually they may have stayed overnight in jail, and then they need to go, they need to have those sessions, sometime up to 25, some up to 52 sessions, court order treatment.
Right.
But these people who were sex offenders, they went to prison. They didn't have an overnight or 2 or 3 day stay. They were there for years. And I found out.
No matter how small the charge.
No matter how small. And that's what probably my biggest surprise was to find out that some people had the smallest infractions that they still had to wear the label of sex offender.
Exactly.
They still had to be flyered in a community. You have to post up that this is a sex offender who lives in this community, tell them where they live and all of that stuff. Certain housing complexes and neighborhoods you couldn't live in. You had to stay away from schools and parks and all of that stuff. And some of them did not touch a single person. Some of them did something as what we may think of as menial as urinating in an alley. And you could still be charged with a sexual offense. And so that was my biggest surprise. And I realized that, wow, the public doesn't know about this. We see sexual offenders as all just being scum of the earth. Now, there are some people who need to go to jail. Yeah,
yes, they are. We definitely don't want to make light of that because we know there are a lot of people out there hurting over sex offender sex offender act. Trust me, we're not advocating for it.
And the movie doesn't either.
The movie doesn't either advocate for it, but it tells you the truth behind those that some of them are just like you said, uncalled for. It's just like getting a marijuana charge. Some people, getting thrown into jail for marijuana charges.
Yeah.
4 or 5 years.
Years.
Years. So it's just about being wrong.
And that's the thing.
The society
There is a law. There is a law that has to be followed. It is against the law to urinate in the alley. It's against the law to do some of the things that people have been sentenced for. But the thing is, like, here's an example. California just passed a law just last year, and the law stated that you needed to be able to deal with the crime according to the crime. It changed it. It used to be that there was a blanket statement that sex offenders were all sex offenders.
Wow.
And the judge had nothing to do with the sentencing or the label. It was the law, period. Okay? But now they have given the power to the judge, so the judge can say, you know what, this is a minor infraction. Or, you know what, you need to go to jail for a long, long time. So so that could be changing as more states begin to change their law. But Shaded Passion was about showing that part of it.
Yeah.
At the same time, there is another story that's going on.
Exactly.
And that story, as my wife stated, that story is the wife who is a mechanic. She's a female mechanic, and a mechanic is a male-dominated, right?
Yeah.
And so she faces some hardship. You know, people being like very difficult to work with because she's a female, and she feels pretty, how can I say, put upon because of that. So you got this couple. So
you got a pastor that has retired from pastor. He went into counseling, ended up counseling sex offenders. Then he's married to a young lady that has a passion for fixing cars because she was the only daughter, and that's what her father was, so that's all she knew. But she also had that passion for race cars as well.
Love the fast cars.
So it was beautiful. That's how it was when you put it together. And I don't want to say, well, it was my little 5 minutes of fame. And my role, believe it or not, the way it tied in was I played the assistant attorney on the person that had the sex offense. That was a person that, he touched the lady on the breast at work by mistake, and she blew it out of proportion.
And some people will say, how can he do that by mistake?
Right, and that's explained in the movie.
In the movie,
we're going to let them see that.
Exactly.
We're not going to tell the whole thing. You got the gist of it, and Dr. Rodney can tell you the whole story. But what I want to emphasize now, which Creative Consulting Dreams is about, were some of the obstacles you face. And we're about to wrap this up. We don't want to be on it much longer. But
some of the problems, we can't wrap it up on the problems. It's going to take another hour.
We don't have to do another. We don't have another hour.
No, I'm just kidding with you.
Yeah, but I want you to talk about the obstacles that you face. Because what I want to always emphasize with this show, things and productions go on. You're going to see a wonderful movie when you tune in to see Shaded Passions on whatever format, and we're going to advertise that at the end of the show to let people know that you see the end product of movies, all of these movies, every show you've ever seen, but you don't know some of the obstacles. So I just want you to touch on a few.
Sure.
Just say what it is, finances, the people, the travel, whatever it was, and give us a rundown on that.
So everything you just named.
Was it?
Okay, all of that stuff. First of all, my 2 stars were in California.
Right.
So we had to fly them in every time we did a setting. So the expenses were tremendous, and you don't fly them in and put them in the bedroom. We gotta
feed them. I took them to dinner a couple times. Yeah, exactly.
So that's an expense there. We had Howard Hewitt, who is a legendary singer.
Repeat that again. Howard Hewitt is in the movie as well. People just want you to
legendary soul singer. And so we had him, so we had to make sure we treated him right. We had to put him in a certain caliber of hotel. And because of that, I could not put him in this caliber of hotel and then put these other people in $20 motels, okay? So I had to make sure.
Expenses, right.
So that was one of the things. We had an investor who had made a tremendous attempt to try to help us, and then she got sick while COVID hit.
And here's now we're talking
another
COVID, another obstacle, which everybody's facing that one.
We had people in the cast who had COVID, and then of course every time you were exposed to COVID, back then you had to isolate for 14 days.
Right. So that was more shooting time lost.
Exactly. We had to make sure that the cast is fed. every time we made a shoot.
Especially me.
Yes, she's kind of a pig, but that's all right. You won't
I am. I'm from the West. I love to eat. I'm not going to say I'm not. But yeah, so you fed it. So there's expenses of the movie, the travel, of getting the actors, and everything else.
Here's another thing. We filmed most of the movie during the pandemic. Mm-hmm. So we had places that had been planned and slotted for us to locations that we could not get because all of a sudden you couldn't bring more than a certain amount of people in.
So now you got location
they had to
changes.
socially distance. All of those things took place. We had rehearsals planned and we had to cancel. The airline stopped flying. We had everything that you can go. But I'm going to tell you something about obstacles that are great, and I hope your audience hears this. Obstacles are sometimes instead of being stumbling blocks, they can really be stepping stones. Mm-hmm. And they can move you into places to where you understand more about your objective because you become more passionate. You got up here. I hope that you can show this. What does it say? Do it with passion or not at all. And do it with passion or not at all. That is so important. If you don't have the passion behind you, the obstacles will knock you down. The obstacles will discourage you. The obstacles will come up and they will say to you, this is not for you. And you'll start talking yourself out of your passion. All right? Out of the dream that you have, out of the vision that you have. And instead of visualizing the dream, you will visualize disaster. And when you start visualizing disasters, the what ifs, you spend more time talking about the what ifs,
they become reality.
Okay? So what we had to do was make sure that we realized that whatever the obstacles were, this is for me as the director, producer, and writer, I had to make sure that every obstacle was overcome with my passion. And so more passion per every obstacle, everything that came across. And my wife would say something like, how are we going to do this?
Because I was going to interject. I know you had to be a driving force for that because I know some days he looked at you and said, babe, what are we going to do? And then I'm sure you did, right?
He was looking at me because I'm the one like, did you see? I mean, how are we going to, what?
Exactly.
And you know, he is just this optimistic person over the top.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he is.
So
I'm pretty driven.
driven. And I know you're but the part is, too, you can have a wife that's like looking at you like, babe, how are we going to handle all of this? With Miss Trenna, all I saw was just what she does. She just smiles and she's just calm. And I know that.
So let me take you into the boardroom.
Oh, my God. How much longer is this going to take? We're about to wrap up the program because I know if we start talking about you talking with Trenna.
When we start, I'm an entrepreneur type. I'm driven.
You got 2 minutes.
Okay? She is more the type, she's very cautious. Mm-hmm. Takes a lot of caution to get through what needs to be gotten through. Yeah. But when we first got together and decided on this project, and I say again, if you are married, you with a partner, we had to come together and I had to allow her to tell me every obstacle, everything you're concerned about, so that we can decide together this is going to happen. Because we knew that there were things that were going to take place and I did not want to get halfway into this project and then her say something like, well, if you hadn't decided to do this. But we got through it and it was great. And now the movie was released on Christmas Day, 2021. Yes, it was. And we were so excited to have it released. People can go to, right now, we have it on 3 different streaming channels. Okay. We have it on Plex.tv. Mm-hmm. We have it on Allyoop.com. Okay. And we have it on One Hub TV. That's another streaming. All right. But we have it contracted for Prime, Amazon Prime, and for Tubi. Good. So those are the process. When I said it's very hard, after you get the movie shot, the most difficult is getting a distributor and getting it streaming. That's I could teach anybody now. I need to do a whole class just on that because I had to put myself through school with that. But that's where we are now.
Well, we're going to end this on that because this could be an hour session easily because this is how much I'm enjoying this. But mainly, guys, know this. He created something. This is his first production that he's done. It is now on TV. It's just letting you know, and it's not necessarily that he had to go to film school or everything else that he did. He did what he needed to do. But the part to remember is that the vision was planted early. When he didn't know that he was in the backstage trying to find out what was going on with that, all of that was the seed to bring you there for that dream to happen. And that's also like what you said. When you have the passion, obstacles are going to be there, no matter what. Matter of fact, you can count on the obstacles. But when your passion is there for something that you love so much, you're just going to continue to do it. So I'm so proud of you, Dr. Rodney. I'm so proud that I was even a part of it. I'm so happy to see how beautiful you guys are together, always. Such a beautiful couple through the entire thing. You had the red carpet thing. That's a whole other segment.
Yeah.
So thank you guys so much for joining us today on Creative Consulting Dreams Inspirational Talk Show. I hope you learned something about everything, about life in general, about obstacles, even about how you could probably become a film producer if you just have the passion for it. So whatever you have the passion for, just do it. Do what you need to do. Ms. Trenna, I'm going to have you end us up with something to tell the audience as far as their passion is concerned.
As far as my passion?
Your passion, or anybody that has a passion to do anything about their dream.
Well, I absolutely would say for me, I didn't even recognize until God spoke into my spirit, into my heart, and showed me that He has placed inside of me a dream that I hadn't even considered. And so I believe that if you really want to know what is it that drives me, what is it that I'm passionate about, I say take it to prayer. Take it to prayer and let God reveal that thing to you, because that's what had to happen with me.
Wow. Now that's inspirational, because bottom line, God has placed a passion inside of all of us. It's just a matter of what we need to do to pursue it. Thank you guys again for being here. I can't wait to see it myself, because I'm just so excited about this segment. Remember, if you're watching on the YouTube channel, to please like and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit alerts, because we got a lot more things going on for 2022, and I can't wait to show you. Stay with your dreams. Always pursue them. Keep your passion, and never forget, God will always lead you the way. Have a great day.